10, and today we are showing, or we are interviewing the Zed Gazette team. Both co-founders here, Dr. Ian and ZG. Um, this is our second time interviewing them, first time together. Um, as usual, it's your host, MJ Stables, the King of Speed. MJ Informatics, if you're not on it, get to it. And myself, Golden Globe Master, independent game developer. How's everybody doing tonight? And Dr. Ian, you muted yourself.
I unmuted myself. Doing well, y'all. Thank you for having the both of us this time. You got to see our thing. We haven't recorded this like in a week, so it's been a bit. There you go, ZG. Where you at, buddy?
Okay. This is
That's
harder
harder
than you
than it
think.
looks. And I suggest y'all try it. Y'all should, like as curators of Zed content. Let's make that some Zed content.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Golden, you want to try? Oh yes, yeah. I don't know
Yeah,
where I'm
no,
going
like
with this.
let's
See,
see,
And
it's
to
let's see,
tilt
guys,
it, you
let's
got
see.
to tilt it the right way.
No, it's harder than it looks, and get closer
cheers,
to the
brother.
camera. My advice is to get a little closer to the camera than you think, and it's easier.
There.
yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That is harder than it
No,
looks.
no.
I'm gonna practice that for a few
It's
hours after stream.
we should call
yeah.
that
Get a
what was
couple
that like
beers
the
in you.
Zoom
It makes it real
cheers or the
challenging.
like Zed up cheers or something. I don't know.
I like it. I
That
like it.
yes. So
You
No,
guys
I'm
are
excited to be here, all of us.
awesome.
yes,
Awesome.
you had a very good Twitter space. I hope you're able to save those and throw them on a podcast in the future because that was a very good one. Shout out to Centrobos and Remy Racing for joining you on there. I left about 8 minutes early, so I didn't hear about all of the comments. I just would like to add something. If you didn't hear, Centrobos is basically explaining how we got in and the investments, and they were going over the future of Zed and how Zed is as a platform. Now, as a video game designer and not a not a master's degree like this guy down here, but a bachelor's in computer science with a specifics on game design. Um, I would say Zed's doing a pretty good job. Like I tell people, the hardest thing that Zed did was they kind of shot themselves in the foot from the gate by making their own game engine when Edge is on the Unity board, and so he should have probably just went with Unity 5. I'm not a Unity guy. I'm an Unreal guy with Unity 4. Then transitioned over to Unreal 4 because I didn't like Unity 5. And so Zed's doing a very good job so far because they designed a game engine from scratch. And if you're not in the video game community or the video game development community, that's like a 5 to 10 year process of just making a game engine. You're throwing on blockchain technology, which is like constantly moving forward. It's cutting edge, and then you throw on a genetic algorithm to tie into the racing. It's very complex stuff that they're doing here. So a lot of people, we can be critical of them at times. We can be critical of them, and we should be critical of them. At the same time, though, we do have to cut them a little bit of what's it? I said we got to cut
Some
them a little
slack,
bit
give
of
them some
Slack.
margin from error.
slack.
Yeah, no,
Sorry,
I think that's a
second
great
barrel.
point. Because even ZG, I mean, he can think about how much longer he played Counter Strike. How long did
Mm-hmm.
people use that game engine for a long time?
Mm-hmm.
You make a great point. I haven't thought about it I honestly haven't thought about it from a game development, game engine perspective, but it's an excellent point you just made.
Yes. I think they're doing a great job. I think they have a test server. As a matter of fact, I know they have a test server where they're testing out a lot of different. Probably, I want to say probably they have everything already made that they want to put in. It just there's bugs. Like I have my own game that I'm working on. It's called Got Hands. Just in case y'all don't know, it's pinned to my Twitter. That I'm constantly adding a feature and then testing the 20 bugs that came with one feature. And so it's a step by step process that we're kind of sort of the live test subjects. Some of us are making a lot of money being live test subjects, some of us aren't. You know, it, some of us are breaking even. That's the good point.
I mean, I would make the point that right, we did have EBS as on the educational board of Unity, but it's also they started on Unity. If you've seen any of the videos I've shared of the video of the curved tracks and the raised tracks,
Hmm.
that was built on Unity by one of EBS, kind of like he's the Anakin Skywalker of Unity development. Like amazing young guy, just doing some incredible things. If you look on YouTube, you can find them kind of exhibiting some of his work, and it's always pretty top notch, incredible. I'm sure it's someone they would love to bring over for the development, but I kind of think it might be that they want to create their own metaverse at the same time with that plug-in effect of we have this game engine, now we have this metaverse, let's plug in. GG, with your background, is that something that would be easier with their own game engine, or would they have to worry about that if they're using something more traditional?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Did you guys
So
say? Oh, sorry,
yeah, no, I
GG.
was
I didn't get it.
yeah yeah no, I
uh,
was saying
GGM. You get into a
yeah,
G.
okay.
GGM. Yeah, so would it
Okay.
be
So,
easier to plug in their own pre-designed infrastructure to this new metaverse blockchain that they want to build in the future, which they've mentioned in a lot of different chats in the past when they would be more at the forefront of kind of the announcements in Twitter Spaces and all the clubhouses and all that kind of stuff. But would it be easier to plug in their own game infrastructure to the metaverse that they're developing than Unreal or something more traditional?
okay. I think for Unreal, because you can write in C++, you could actually add to the engine because you got every single person on Unreal. I'm not a Unity guy, so I can't go there. But on Unreal, you could add to the source code. And so since you can add to the source code um, anything that they have that's proprietary to them, they could just add it into the Unreal Engine.
Do they have
And
to?
Gotcha.
so
What's the license agreement? Do they have to share that back with the community, or
no,
is anything they add? Okay, so it remains proprietary. Okay.
no, they don't have to share anything back with the community.
Okay.
Could they plug that into IPFS
Uh,
infrastructures?
more than likely,
What
more
do you
than
think,
likely.
Dr. Ian? Is that a way that they
Well, I
could
mean,
take that
you
Unreal Engine
you would
and make it
use
very simplified for NFTs?
no. I mean, well, potentially. I mean, you use the interplanetary file system, so that you have a decentralized file system, and then those become very advantageous for the NFTs because you can't change the image, but then at the same time, like there's no centralized attack. So if like your apes, can't be DOSed effectively, right? Could they use that for sure? I'm sure they could use that for assets in the game. Yeah, I don't see why they can't. I mean, from the game engine perspective, maybe not, but I mean, from an asset perspective, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's why I think about it. They might be building their own system.
Yes, they're building their own system because at the end of the day, you also have to pay fees to license an engine,
Hmm.
and those
Got
fees
it.
can get hefty. And so, them when they started out being independent developers and already having made money and already having everything planned out in the future, it's very hard to want to actually pay fees. Somebody like myself, like I have to make like over, I think it's $1 million before I start paying fees to Unreal. Um,
Wow.
Zed's
I hope
already
you get
made
there,
that.
man.
Zed's already
Honestly, I
made
hope you
that.
get there, dude.
Yeah, I hope I get there too. But Zed's already made that, and so like they're gonna. What's to say the payouts are so far? I think it's over 20 million or something like that. So Zed's made what 10% of that, so that's like $2 million that they got to pay like something like 5 or 10% to Unreal. They're not trying to do that. They're trying to reinvest in their company. So that's just for us. I think we have to um, what's the word give them just a little bit of slack because they have to constantly be on the cutting edge of the technology.
Yeah,
And for
just a
some
little
reason, you
perspective on it. Yeah.
saying we're quiet. So can you hear me now?
Can hear you, buddy.
Dr. Ian, you're probably gonna have to turn up your mic, and it said aside from ZG, everyone else is tough to hear.
Is that
That's
better?
a first.
Is that better?
No, I'm just reading the chat. Sorry. I may have to cut it off and then go back on. Just bear with us. Can anybody in the chat? Can you hear us? Can you not hear us?
Testing,
Chat.
testing.
Let us know.
Okay. Y'all sound fine to me. That's what.
Why we're doing this is what we should do. We should four-way cheers. Do the
All
corner.
right, let's do it.
And then we'll
Four-way cheers, so
screenshot.
that's
We need to
bottle.
screenshot it.
Screenshot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wait.
Slowly
Wait.
up there.
Down a little bit.
I gotta
And
switch my hand.
wait.
Oh,
There.
oh,
Wait,
there
no,
you
Golden,
go.
come back. Golden, come back.
No, we got
Over
it.
there.
Wait, who's screenshotting
Who's
it?
taking the screenshot?
I got it. I got it. I got it.
Okay, this is the first ever.
Hold on,
All
you
right.
gotta open your beer.
It said
No, I lost. Hold on. I lost it. Everyone
Oh,
come
no.
up again.
Oh god.
I'm telling you, this is a
Bad radio.
challenge.
The
All right.
first ever.
Everyone, wait. No, we're not good. Golden, you pulled out too soon.
You
Hold
have
on.
to keep, hold on.
Hey,
All right, here we go.
he's just being
All right.
careful.
Perfect.
All right.
All right, we are good. We are good.
First ever. That's the first ever one of those. Oh.
ZNN's got the first chairs. I hope everybody else got the chairs with us.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Oh.
show off my shirt.
Oh yeah,
So-
where'd you get your shirt from?
There you go.
Donkey glue.
Donkey glue.
Love it, love it, love it.
Make sure you go to Swag Stable Shop. And link will be in the description on the YouTube. It's already there for any of the previous videos. We are doing a giveaway, courtesy of Lucky Jack as well. But so far, because you guys are known for breeding.
And I want to talk a little bit too, like speaking about plugs on that same mention. You guys started Zed School.
Oh,
Yeah.
You guys wanted to tell all the viewers a little bit about Zed School and what that's about, where you guys are hosted, who you're involved with on that?
Yeah, we're on the DGen network. It's got a bunch of other great podcasts as well. We have done five episodes now. We'll be recording. We took a week off. We'll be recording another episode this week coming up pretty soon. It will be entirely on just advice on buying horses off OpenSea. What are we looking at buying horses and the process to that? Really, we've had a lot of fun. Like as you know, ZG has done a lot of Twitter Spaces. He's written a lot of articles. I've written much fewer. We have the website. So for us, I think this is another medium to reach out to get an idea of just what the audience wants to hear and really try to really help educate the community. You want to elaborate on that, ZG?
I think it's exactly that. And we kind of talk about a little bit of current events on things we're seeing, developing. Talk a little trash.
The 1 cycle update.
Yeah.
You're like Tron, and someone hasn't seen Tron yet.
Tron. Still a thing. That's still a thing.
I have never seen Tron.
I feel like that's a recurring theme on every episode of Zed School is, has ZG seen Tron yet?
I'm waiting.
It'll become less likely every episode.
GG, have you seen Tron? And MJ Stables, have you?
I've seen the newer one.
I'm 41.
Oh yeah, no, dude. Like Tron's awesome, right? Like it's amazing. I mean,
Tron in like 85.
How can you not like the metaverse and not have watched Tron? Like it boggles my mind.
I got Daft Punk was in the newer one. That got me all amped up and excited. Like, oh man,
Tron's great. Sorry,
Tron
is
great.
We've done it again. We've done it again.
I think we should get this trending on Twitter. Just everyone just start tweeting at ZG to watch Tron.
Tron.
Oh no.
Just tell us what you like about Tron or your favorite quote from Tron. Like I play for the users. I
could see MJ with some glow sticks, early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, you know I was there.
I could see
that
it.
was totally me. Totally me for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe it still is. Maybe not.
Right?
Let's get a meetup going. You never know
I'm
what'll
about
happen.
the original. I'm about the original, just like GGM. I'm about the original still.
No.
I just remember the race. Like the
motorbikes. Oh man. I'm also a big Lebowski fan, so Jeff Bridges. It's like this crossover that just boggles my mind at times.
So let's
what is
go ahead,
link?
Golden.
Sorry, what is the link for the Zed School so I can share it in chat?
Ooh.
Just send it to the private, and then
It's
I'll
on
share it in the chat.
it's on DGen Network, right? That's from Joe Bunchu, who does he does the Mint
I have
Condition. He does Rex
I have it linked to
podcast
the
with
DGen
Chambers.
network. I
Unrecruited
got
is
it.
Yeah,
now on there. Um, New edition.
I
We
got it.
talk about Zed a little bit. Um, so kind of circling back to Zed. Speaking of Zed, which is what we're all here for. Golden, do you have any specific questions about breeding? You had brought it up originally. Wanted to circle back to you.
Well, so far, um, we do know that none of us have actually figured out breeding.
yeah,
Yeah.
To be honest, none of us has actually figured out breeding or how it works or if like breeding great horses together will make another great horse or breeding two donkeys together will make a good horse because we've seen it both ways. And so, do you have any newer theories?
No. Um, no, we haven't needed newer theories. I mean, we've if you've been y'all know like we've been telling people breeding's really hard, and there is a lot of randomness involved, but it is not random. No, the I'll tell you the inbreeding. I've been working on making good. I mean, when we had odds, I could measure them like that, but no, it's about it. It's still about inbreeding, and it does the bloodline still matters, and it very you have to think about the amount of mutation you're dealing with at the genesis level of the horses you're dealing with, and so we have no new theories because we're still like I've seen good things out of the ones we have now. So I don't know what you want to add, CG.
yeah. Um, yeah, no, theories haven't changed at all, really. It's just I've had to change the timeline on the anticipation because people took the simple breeding plan as like a go to go all
A
when it
Bible.
was really just an outline of what could is possible, right? Yes, you can breed siblings together as long as the sire is the same and the mares are different. It's not that we should do that every time. It's just this is what you can possibly do. And it's something I'm going to be testing. And I'm going to be switching this back and forth. But now that I have all these pieces created, where I have these different twin lines and all these different cousin lines, that's where I'm really creating a mix match, throw them in the washing machine, see what happens kind of environment. And that's why I'm trying to bring as many Genesis horses in on that as possible. But what I have adjusted is that I'm instead of focusing on strong Genesis horses, but I'm still doing that, right? But it's too
He's
difficult
talking
to
about
reach that
Buterins. You
DNA.
gotta keep in mind,
Yeah, Buterins.
he's specifically talking about Buterins. I'm talking about Nakamoto's. So when
Yeah,
in generality, like we get this screwed up with ourselves all the time, but like it's important to remember that there are some different strategies based really much on the bloodline, and you do have to really think about that. That's critical.
exactly. Right, because there's not a lot of Nakamoto legendaries that outperform Nakamoto's down Genesis.
Hmm.
Right, it's just not a lot at all. But there's a large abundance of them that right. So when I talk about that, I mean that the best legendary Nakamoto still isn't really better in Breathless Edge, right? But the best legendary Buterin is better than Vector Shine,
Hmm.
right? So there's that difference of the ability to pass down genetics, and there's always going to be this randomness because we've talked about the mutation rates and how it's always by population, and we've already seen just the explosion of population and how small 1,000, 2,000 Nakamoto's is and 2,000 total Sazabos on their own accord, right? It's such a small population that it's going to be very difficult, I think, to find patterns even on the Buterin level of Genesis breeding together. But when you get lucky enough to have a good legendary horse off a good Genesis horse, it just adds to the complexity of that horse being so much luckier and better because of inbreeding in the future because the ones and zeros are more likely to combine in a positive way, right? So right now, I'm looking at Buterins that are having a really good, strong performance that are Supreme Impulse, which came off one of my horses. So I got really lucky there. So I can start leveraging that already. And I'm looking at Primo Filius, which is one of the best Buterins to be bred at legendary level. I brought him into the fold, and I've already bred about 4 legendary horses off of his sire. And I'm working to trade other horses with his dame or dame. And and I brought in Supreme Impulse, and they just bred this month, and they're trading foals back and forth, and they actually bred clones of Primo Filius and Supreme Impulse, and they've traded those for each other. So now they can really truly start inbreeding these two legendary great horses at a Genesis level.
So here's just kind of a general simple question for you. If I'm looking to breed a horse,
Hmm.
and should I look then, let's say there's a great legendary that's out there. Should I go for that legendary, or should I try and go for one of the parents of
What's
that
the
horse?
bloodline?
Yeah, it depends by the
What's the
bloodline.
bloodline? I mean, this is
Okay.
anytime you're breeding, you should ask yourself that question. That's number one. What's the bloodline?
So
Right?
then can we expand upon that for some of our newer viewers? Like what should I be looking for in that bloodline? Why should I Nakamoto's are the best, so should I always just go that way? Can you guys like very simply kind of break down what why one bloodline may be better or worse than another?
Can I go first, Dr. Ian? Yeah, so I'd say that it's about the change in parents to children. Is a horse likely to be like its parents? And I believe, just because of genetic algorithm theory and computer science theory that Dr. Ian can elaborate on better than I can, that small populations are going to inherit a larger mutation rate. So it's going to be less likely that a good racer will produce a good racer because it's going to change the DNA so much. And that's why we're seeing these Booterins that are creating good Booterins down the line. Vector Shine has already created a horse that competes with him. Supreme Impulse, the one off mine, has one that's a grandchild that is competing with her on Flames and Odds. So it's something you'll see uh, with the progression of time, I think, and proper breeding, right, Dr. Ian?
Yeah, so let me just kind of elaborate. The smaller the initial population size, so Sazabos, Nakamoto's expect higher level of mutation, i.e., what ZG is saying, less likely to be like the horses that they were bred from. More mutation, right? Less what you're looking for. Booterins, on the other hand, have the highest number of initial population. It's not about existing population; it's about initial population, and this goes to research that we did look into about how genetic algorithms work with multi populations within the same GA. You have to expect smaller populations that have higher mutation, bigger populations that have less mutation. So Booterins, on the other hand, in theory, they're easier to breed because you're dealing with less mutation, and typically, as a selection process for the GA, humans are picking best horses to breed together. So you have to think about how that affects the GA is random, but it's also human nature to say, well, the two best horses should breed better horse because that's how real life works. Well, sort of, right? That's a better strategy for Budrans. It's not a good strategy for Nakamoto's and Sazavos. I will tell you that.
So if I have if I identify a Nakamoto that I want to breed with, but I have a Buterin, if I breed my Buterin with that Nakamoto, would that in theory, because the Buterins are more, we'll say for lack of a better word, like consistent or predictable, not necessarily the best word, would that make then that offspring slightly more predictable because there's less variance that it's being bred with?
As a comparison to Nakamoto and Nakamoto, yes.
Okay.
As a comparison to Buterin, no. So
I
you're
have
you're in a middle space there, but it's not a
I
bad strategy from sometimes. So.
an IRL representation of it, right? If you look at dog breeding, right, in today's world, you're looking at dog breeding, and you look back 200 years when they first started creating these dog breeds, they don't look anything like what they first intended them to, right? So basically,
Yeah.
once you get so far down the line, 200 years later, you're breeding these dogs that are basically golden shepherds, and they're making golden shepherds every time. That's Booterins. But if you go 200 years in the past, 250 years in the past, you're on Nakamoto's where you are still selecting the right genetics to make the golden retrievers of the future that are so easy to do and to make complete. Right. So it's just about the beginning of the genetic spectrum versus the end, and just the abundance of mutation because of that variation of plugged into the GA. And I know a lot of people like to say like this GA is pretty random and it's simple. Just by the fact that there's four populations, it makes it very unsimple because there's a whole subsect of genetic algorithms that focus on subpopulations and multi-population genetic algorithms with different population groups that it's an entirely different field,
Yeah,
right?
it's a subgenre of genetic algorithms that we looked into. When you think about the bloodlines, I think a big piece of the GA is the crossover mask, and I think that the different bloodlines is very dependent on that. So
Mhm.
it's just one of those things. But at the end of the day, y'all think of it like this: if the best horses bred the best horses, then only the people that initially had the best horses would be good. What's fun about this game is that's not the case. The best horses, Breathless Edge, does not breed good horses. Now, I bred a Z40 pacer off of him that was pretty good. She's running out there, so maybe that's what it's going to take is an elite cross pacer off of one of the great horses off Nakamoto's. Now, Buderins, it might be legendary. Think about how many layers down before you get better horses than the initial horses you put in.
Not
Mhm.
to interrupt you, Dr. Ian, but if Stanley Studios is watching, he's a paper guy. And
Well,
he's smiling somewhere when he heard you bred a pacer off of Breathless Edge.
Stanley's running her.
Hey Joe.
Stanley's the proud owner of Catherine now, and on the
Okay.
Pacer squad. He had to show me the Pacer squad logo, and I was like, all right, you're the right person for this horse.
Yes.
I respect it, and I do. I do think Pacers are the future of the game. I will say that right now.
Why is that?
I disagree.
I mean,
Okay. All
well,
right.
I
Go
mean,
first,
I
Dr.
think
Ian.
eventually, it's like I think eventually all the future horses are Pacers eventually. So I'm kind of just cheating a little bit, but I think it'll be Nakamoto Pacers that'll be the best horses
Th-
in the game. It's just what I think
Nakamoto
at this point.
Pacers?
Yeah,
then so then
Really?
what purpose do crosses serve?
it's inbreeding. It's folding back and inbreeding. Or what ZG likes to do is go back on top to horses that are higher on the tree, Genesis and Legendary, to kind of breed back. So this is where he and I disagree. We still have to prove things out. We
So
don't agree on everything. It's fine.
There's
yeah, so
still wagers to be
ZG's
won.
you said
Yeah.
you disagreed with that. What is your take on that?
I think the bottleneck of of elite and exclusive is purposeful, right? If we're stacking DNA on that level, I think that's purposeful. And the person that I believe is very influential in the genetic algorithm has a strong written paper about the 4 generations previous to the current horse being the most influential. And if you look back on the 3 and plus 1, there's 4. So yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. The bottleneck has to be purposeful.
What he's referring to is if
Here's
you look at the breeding chart, I know we don't have a link in front of us, is
I
that if
I'll grab it.
you can make it's like you can take a legendary and a Genesis horse, make an exclusive, but you can rub 2 legendaries together and make an exclusive. You can take it's like you can basically sort of keep making horses that are exclusive and elite level by going up higher on the tree, closer to the origin, closer to Genesis, if you look specifically. So it is something he and I have talked a lot about. Is that accidental? Is that intentional? And I think that's probably the biggest question you should ask yourself is that from that end. Like otherwise, the theories that you create are kind of derivatives of that. But is it
Yeah,
intentional? Is it accidental? I don't
it's
know.
intentional.
I'm not sold into the purpose yet, but I could be wrong. I hope that I'm wrong sometimes.
Hey, we'll figure it
All
out.
right.
We will.
Really fast, I'm gonna bring this. Hold up.
Yeah,
All right. So
law of bottlenecks.
I have a combination of both of your theories, and I think it's I'm gonna cheat a little and give you a combination of both of your theories, and I kind of combined a little bit of what Dan Chan's theory is on the best breeders, um, only trying to reproduce with the best breeders. And so let me see if I can share this screen. Add screen. I understand. Let's proceed. Select window. Sorry, being loud.
So
Into. Okay,
while he's pulling this up,
got it.
and kind of tied into this chart, yeah, if you want to talk through it quick,
Okay,
Golden Glow.
The chart that ZG was just saying is when you breed male Genesis horses at the exclusive level, it maintains an exclusive level. But anything else would, well, exclusive or legendary, it drops you into the elite realm. And and also, if you breed Genesis males again at the elite realm, it keeps you at the elite realm. Anything else from elite to exclusive to legendary drops you into the cross realm. Now, here's the interesting thing about this graph is any anything you breed with a cross maintains the cross level. Anything except for another cross. If you breed a cross with a pacer, it becomes a pacer. And if you breed a if you breed a cross with a pacer, it becomes a pacer, or a pacer with a cross. It stays down at the pacer level. So now, because you can keep breeding Genesis mares in with crosses, or legendary mares, or exclusive mares, or elite mares in with crosses. I think the cutoff line. I don't know this yet because I haven't bred past the exclusive level, but I believe the cutoff line is at the cross level because you have like the Crimson Chins and the great racers are like the main event, who's a male elite who can only breed crosses. And so like say if you wanted to trap something down at the cross level, like say you bred main event with another elite or Genesis mare and got it down to the cross, and you wanted to breed Steph Curry into that, it would still be a cross. And so I think there has to be something with this. But go ahead, ZG. I see you raising your hand.
I want to give credit to Zed Run podcast. I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't even listened to it. But so what I've always told Dr. Ian is that I'm a big bell curve guy. Give me, an R number all day. So when you look at, I always looked at that here. Will you bring that chart back up,
Okay, sorry.
GGM? I didn't notice this, and I haven't even told Dr. Ian about it. So I got to give
Ooh.
credit where it's due. So I always thought it was going to be a bell curve, right? Let's look at the pictures next to it. It looks like it is a little bit empty, fills up, gets full at elite, and starts emptying at cross and pacer. Look at the little image next to it.
Oh, yeah, with the blood.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Right. So like if we just go game theory on it, like why are they putting that there and why are they draining the blood after you get to that negative point? So I was always thought it's a bell curve of performance on elite, and then you'll have negative returns eventually on cross and pacer.
And
Okay.
these Sangma Buderans.
Yeah. And we're looking at some runes here.
Um, I think Pacer Knox are gonna be good horses, and I got a link in there for a good one already.
Hey, we'll
I'm
see. We'll
saying,
see.
I'm just saying, we will see, we will see. That's the fun of the
Challenge is on. Challenge is on.
game.
It's a very complicated thing. We haven't cracked breeding yet. I'm figuring out something. I got something in the works to try to
But look,
get the community in general to figure out breeding.
look,
Look at
look,
her
at, look at
flame.
look at the horses that look at the horses this horse came from, though. And yeah, look at the flames, like low flame rate, high win rate. But you're talking about two horses that aren't good horses. Now those are second cousins of each other. If you look at both Nowhere Man and B Side, and
Mm-hmm.
you go look at their lineage, you'll see some commonality there, and
Give me
that to me becomes the game.
Stanley Studios bought that one.
Stanley Studios.
give me 1 second. I'll pull up her. I prefer to use
Oh,
Zed Run
you should,
tools.
yeah. Well, they use
Hey,
Neo4j for an
I
there,
I
so
gotta call them out because not cool. There's zedranks.com with an S, and they took zedrank.com and redirected it to zedrun.tools.
Oh,
So not cool. Gotta give them a shout out.
it's
Not
the
cool.
Wild Wild West, man. What are you gonna do?
I
Oh
was
yeah,
going to the
you're
wrong
the
website.
lineage on her. So keep backing it up, and you'll see commonality eventually here with Nowhere Man and B Side,
well, once I hit parents, they have the same dad
Yeah.
right?
on his side. Uh, these spider webs start getting. Whoa. Hit parents. Yeah, this is really inbred right here.
Keep going back. This will get more fun if you keep going back.
All right. I'll go to parents here. That's the legendary. This one's parents.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep going.
You going back?
What so when we're looking to breed,
Rogers
we're talking about how you can
just
keep
say,
things
man,
at a certain
holy
level.
crap.
Well, he goes up. Is it more speaking in general terms? Is it better to breed with say a like if I have a legendary, should I breed that with another legendary to make an exclusive, or should I breed that with a Genesis to make an exclusive? Or does it just depend on the lineage, or does that even not factor into it? Speaking in general terms.
I don't
um,
think we know.
Okay.
I
I
think it's
think
going to be dependent upon horse and bloodline, right? Is my quick answer on it.
I've been practicing this on the Nox that are inbred. So if I have horses that are related in some way, because like if you go down below, it's like sisters that sort of make some of the horses off that below. And they're all kind of coming back to a few of these Genesis horses, which are some big horses in the game. But a hallucination, if you look, bam, 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 right? Those three horses are now related. Now I breed his kids together, and then I breed those kids together. It's yeah, there's a lot of DNA that goes back to Breathless Edge. This is so far the best horse that's come out of the Breathless Edge tornado. If you're a regular listener to the show that I've been building, um,
But it doesn't
it's
just, it has insane him in
it's
there
Breathless. Yeah, no, this horse
Mirage.
is this to me is the
Yeah.
game, y'all. Like
Willing Religion,
this
Alive
game.
After
So
5. Yeah.
I do
The,
think I'm the best. I will say I do think I'm the best Nakamoto breeder in the world. Still.
this is the
This is a spider web, people.
this is
Yeah,
the
look at
Zed equivalent
Breathless
of the
Edge
Zach
has 3.
Galifianakis meme with all the numbers by it.
That's a good horse. That horse is going to be a 20% winner. She's going to be a good horse for a long time, and that's a
Yeah.
She's up to
Z40 pace.
See,
23.
all right. The big thing for me is I don't care about the wins, the losses. It's right here. What I just highlighted,
Yeah, you know that's a good one too. I know you
which
know
is
that one.
ROI winnings.
It's 4%. It's 3.8% flame and 23% winning.
Yeah,
And point four is the
That's mind
total,
blowing.
almost half of ETH in earnings.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
pacer. It's a pacer.
Z40.
Z40
yes.
pacer.
So I don't know if you guys have run into Yip Talk, and what really
You,
got me
you
looking
should.
into, yeah, looking into like the, will, because everyone in December was saying that Genesis should be the best horses for quite some time.
Hmm.
It was a commonly held belief. And what I saw Yip Talk say is, how much is it going to cost to make a good elite horse? And that started me thinking, like, all right, let's look at the percentage of, breeding fees right now compared to the cost of the horse, and at what price point do we reach the cost of a Genesis horse breeding down into these lines? And it's pretty reflective again on that recursive fourth generation nature.
Yes. Bring that far down the line. This is the complaint I do have for the Zed team. I'll probably put it in the product portal. If MJ, if you want to share the product portal
Yeah,
again,
absolutely. I'll pull that up.
Yeah,
I
absolutely. Share the
for
product
for
portal.
the
I
product portal,
love
I believe that as a community, we should let the Zed team know that as Ethereum starts to moon, that they should tie the cost of breeding into the US dollar, because everything else on the platform is tied to the US dollar, like specifically racing. Back when they were doing drops, I hope they don't do. I'm like in the opposite camp. I don't want another drop next year. Um,
yeah, I think drops are
that's probably
done,
controversial,
honestly.
but I don't want another drop to next year. Maybe um, if they even do another one, they could just do like giveaways and
They should
things
just
of
do
that nature,
auctions. They should just do
or
live auctions for all the horses. You
that too.
know, and
But
you could have simultaneous auctions going on for Booterins. That way, not a single person can just run it all. Run them all up. So I mean, there are other ways to distribute the horses in a fair manner. I
mhm.
think.
But I'd prefer for everything outside of the Nakamotos. I want the whales, like the whales, the people who can afford those. I don't think I'll be able to afford one anytime soon. But the people who can afford the Nakamotos, let them go ahead and fight over those. I think the last drop, the May drop, at the prices, the Nakamotos didn't sell out right away anyway. Took it like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks for them to sell out. So for the rest of the things, I would prefer for everything to go to newer stables, including the Zabos. I think the Zabos are way undervalued. People who are selling them, it's just there's just as many Zabos as Nakamotos.
There
So
there needs to be
something.
they need to do something like particular. I hope they're steeple jumpers. At the end of the day, I hope the Zabos are good jumpers, and then if you want a good stable like steeple jumper, you have to have one or
Yeah,
breed with one. That would be pretty cool. I mean, fingers crossed.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, put it in. Go to the product portal when you have time. Anybody who's watching, spread the word for the people who aren't watching to definitely go into the product portal and just ask Zed to tie the prices to the U.S. dollar. Prefer, or they could tie it to the Australian dollar. I don't care. Just something that's like a stable number you have in mind when you're going to go out and breed.
Well, they have it tied into the README that it is part of whatever they set the Ethereum value to is dependent upon what the dollar value of that Ethereum is. Right?
Okay.
It's built into the infrastructure of changing it. And they've always said that.
Okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, that I still think it's a little tad expensive, but that's just me because I'm poor.
Hell
So
Hey
yeah.
man,
I'm so
I don't even
frustrated.
know if I can breed anymore. I've had to really reconsider all my plans to breeding prices. So I'm kind of in a
I'm
position where like I might have to play a different game. I don't know yet. It sucks.
well, you could do like I did and just move down to like Finney's.
yeah. He won't. He won't.
Like not the
So let me tell an old story. I guess I've told too many times. But, I've never told it with Dr. Ian. Is that we always we came with this plan and all this inbreeding and all this genetic algorithm stuff by like January,
Oh
and it
wow.
wasn't really our intention to tell everyone.
same.
Right? We were just going to do our own game and play our own thing and make competition be competition. I even viewed the Zed team as competition. Like I didn't want to tell them what we thought we knew at the time because maybe they changed things and here we are with no twins.
And they have, yeah.
So
Oh, twins are gone, by the way.
Well,
yeah.
no,
And
there's a way you can do twins,
You
but you
can do
yeah,
can't.
stallion
identical, but it's
style.
not. They're not twins in the same breeding
I know.
cycle.
I
That
know.
is
Yeah.
significantly different. And when you're playing with
No.
the uniform crossover perspective of the GA, that is significant. So
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah. So
It's
that
Italian twins, so you're correct, DT.
yeah, stallion style is how we got to do it now. But it really came down to like I went to Rob and Chris and I was like, "Yo, you're selling horses." And this was when they first jumped up and it was like 12,000, 15,000 for a Nakamoto. And I was like, "Yo, you're selling horses for the prices of cars. And cars drive you places. And
yeah.
cars get you laid."
And this was February.
And a
He said
lot of
it in February, like
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
February or March. It was right. It was we had this conversation. Like you could buy a car for that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a lot of money.
What?
right. So it was all about giving hope to people, right? That's why we gave out the information we did because like if you buy that crappy horse and you have no idea what to do with it and like you just spent your bag on it,
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna like go and tell your friends like this is a great game. You're gonna go tell them breed with my horse because I heard there's a way, right? Like no one signs on to the Jedi plan because you're like, no, we don't move rocks, and yeah, we just like put our hand in the air and people don't believe us. It's great, like yeah, it's not the plan that gets people signed up for a future in any platform. So we weren't sure if our plans were right, but we put enough research into it. We talked to genetic, people who wrote the dissertations of the genetic algorithms. I reached out to them on LinkedIn, and I had them look at the game. I have Dr. Ian, who's a PhD computer scientist. I knew immediately to call him because of his white privilege and his non-married status. So he definitely had some money to spend, and
What?
yeah,
It's okay.
negotiations in my
Just
head.
laugh, y'all. Just
Um,
laugh, y'all. It's okay.
We're gonna have
negotiations
to
in my
edit that
head.
one out.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'll be real about it. Yeah. Uh, But yeah, no. So then we went from there, and we openly told Jeff he didn't know anything about the genetic algorithm the first time we spoke to him.
Yeah, we first time we spoke to him, we got off the call, and like, oh yeah, we know more about it than he does because he has no idea what he's talking about, and that was just January, February, like we knew then, like, okay, we know more than you do about this, so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
the same arguments were made from him that we're dealing with now. Can you find a pattern? Because he knew Dr. Ian was very talented, and we had some, um, genetic DNA algorithm stuff to study, and I can let Dr. Ian to attest to what he was building out and what
Well,
it
I mean,
wasn't gonna.
this is how I bought horses. I bought 5 horses off of Super Spirit, like legendary. This is how I have like legendary horses off of Wall Street. This is how I have horses off of like Insane Him. Like those horses I have because at the time it was a cult game only, cult of the male horses, and it was a racing game. We told people this is a game of breeding. We're the that made that happen because we knew then. Like we were a year and a half ahead of the game. Like we invented defense on your DNA. People weren't doing that. I was buying your horses off of OpenSea. Why do I have hallucination? How could I have ever built that like Katherine Johnson if I didn't have hallucination? It's not possible.
Dr. Ian bought S&M when Doofy was test running Attar, the first
Oh, from
inbred horse
Breathless
from.
ID. Breathless ID.
Yeah,
Attar
while
exclamation
we were
point.
figuring it out.
Look on that chart. You go back to that chart you have up there. Look under Breathless ID and look for Attar, and you'll see very closely what that is.
He bought him before anyone knew to start looking for that. So
Hey
it was a
man,
45 odds horse,
it's
and
a simple
I was telling him
game. You
no.
shouldn't talk about, if someone's wearing a hat that might be someone who didn't believe in the GA. It's a simple game. We shouldn't talk about the GA. Shouldn't talk
He's
about
got to
it.
get his
He's a
jabs
math
in.
person, though. I'm not naming names, but you can read.
He's got to get
oh,
his
wow.
jabs in.
What's he gonna say? Is he gonna get on YouTube and wear his fake little hat, his little wig, and talk smack? Come on, dude.
Oh, man.
Oh, you guys weren't here for that. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, go to his YouTube channel and look at that crap.
I saved it. No, but for the record, he's talking about Poseidon. But for the record, Poseidon's done great things as far as for beginners and letting you get into the platform and know about things that you didn't know
I think he's
about.
done a lot to misinform the community, but that's an opinion.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, we could agree to disagree there, But I do think he's done a lot just to, because me personally, I probably wouldn't know as much as I know because I went like he's like the novice level. He gets you in the door. He gets you in the door. Once you're in the door, then you gotta, like, if you're gonna spend car money on something, do more research. Don't just
Which
let
was
Poseidon
Which
get
is
you in
why
the
we have the
door
100%.
Zed
or
Gazette,
rent
which is why
money
we
in
have the
some
website,
cases.
Twitter Spaces.
I
This is an expensive game, and it's a
Yeah.
hobby a lot of times. And
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
and
It's expensive.
If you're gonna pay
and I
rent
gotta
money,
say,
you're putting your rent on a horse. You better do a little bit more research. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was
Poseidon
a
gets you in the door, and ZG, Dr. Ian, Pony Plug, Sean Verse All, MJ, my partner to the right, or this way. Know Your Horses, Haku. There's a guy in the chat, Harold Craft, who just started making videos. Centribos. There are so many people in this community that are putting out content that can literally teach you everything you know about the game. Like I started watching NFT Insight and I realized, and this I'm gonna say it again, arbitrage racing and the other guy that got interviewed on NFT Insight before arbitrage were playing chess while the entire community was playing checkers. Just in terms
was it
of
was it Good Boy
identifying things
racing
with
before?
racing. Huh?
Was it Good Boy racing before?
No, it wasn't
I
Good
don't
Boy
think it
Racing.
was.
I'll look it up and get his name. But these guys
I
were
gotta go
playing
back.
chess with racing while everybody else was playing checkers. They were
And
identifying winners within 3 races, buying them, and it didn't matter how much ETH they were spending to buy the horse. They were buying them, racing them for a profit, and now they're very profitable. And that's why arbitrage is recognized as the best stable in the game. But that other guy, or excuse me, best racer in the game. I don't know about. He's not much of a breeder just yet, but he'll get there eventually if he uses the same uh, uh, research that he put into racing. And
Oh
so
yeah.
it's there. You got to be able to identify. And even with Flames, I'm started after watching those videos and looking at some of the things Arbitrage said yesterday and some of the things from the because I watch all the interviews over again that we've done, and I've been picking up things. I'm able to identify a lot of winners early on in their career. Like I give out a name, Willie Beeman. Yeah, if you're well and you got money, put some money toward Willie Beeman. I've identified him. He's going to be a great pacer going forward. And I've learned that from Arbitrage and the other guy. I can't think of his name. I'm sorry to NFT Insight and the actual stable owner. I'll put the link in the YouTube description in the future so people go there, read the description. I always put as many content creators on this platform into our description. You'll learn the platform. John Versal teaches you basically. He used to teach odds because I discovered that 12 odd and lower, you got 10% to 12% win rate. I have a 12% odd horse named Rusty Saddle, and she's at a 15% win rate at 110 races, and she's a Z25 exclusive. And so, if you're identifying your horse's strengths and weaknesses, you can make winners. It's not that it's not like super hard. It's just identifying where your horse race is good at. MJ Informatics, another shameless plug to my co-host, but he
Thank you.
Yeah, his stuff's
identifies.
good.
Thank you. Appreciate that, guys.
His tool will help you identify your horses very easily, where they
Yeah,
race at,
updates are
where
awesome.
they're
Thank you.
profitable
Thank
at.
you.
And
Appreciate that.
so, in the future, going forward, as a community, the Flames aren't uh,
I
the
hate
the
flames.
best or the worst. You track the win rate, you track the Flames, and you track the ROI. Like those Flames, that horse we brought up, Catherine, 3% rank, 3% Flames, half an ETH ROI. I guarantee if MJ brought
So
that horse up
my
for
thing is with Flames. I think I think partly because she's a pacer, there's
mm-hmm.
partly a reason for that, but I also think because she's got more of that U-shaped profile that
Yes.
Flames don't exactly encourage that. What I've noticed from the Flames, my horses that are more of a what we would call a Vinny, a triple X, so similar numbers across for win, place, or show, which means they're more of an all-around horse. I have noticed those horses are more likely to get Flames, less likely to win though. So just looking at the odds, as long as I have and the horses I have, I mean, I've got plenty of horses I've run a lot. The Flames, it's not that difficult to kind of figure out what's going on. It's good for
Yes.
horses that are going to probably get on the podium, maybe not necessarily win, as where horses that are U-shaped probably don't get Flames, have a chance to win or get 12th place. It's that Ricky Bobby we like to talk about
Yeah.
too.
And that's profitable.
Those horses are profitable.
All right.
What do you
MJ,
think of?
take over for a little while. I'm gonna try to set the giveaway up.
Sure, 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 sure.
Sorry.
So I had a few questions. One from earlier that we talked about, in like Dr. Yun, you're talking about being Mr. Nakamoto, struggling to breed with them with the price changes. Uh, Shout out to the Unrecruited podcast, also on the DGN network. I was listening to them earlier, and they were brought up the point that it is currently more expensive to breed with a Nakamoto Pacer than a Zabo Genesis.
Yeah.
And so that puts a lot of emphasis on the bloodline, like an obscene amount of emphasis on the bloodline, and that doesn't necessarily play out perfectly. So, what are your guys' thoughts, yours too, ZG, on the pricing structure, and what do you think that's telling you? Do you think that's holding up? Is there meaning behind it? Do you think it should be adjusted? I just wanted your guys' take on that.
I mean, I'd love it to be an open market. I'd love the community to set those prices based on market rates, but that's not going to happen. I think they're doing it mostly to try to keep Nakamoto's less bred, and that way the other bloodlines sort of catch up. Because I think if you look at the total number of horses that bred, Nakamoto's have been disproportionately bred by early adopters of the game. This will level out in time, but ultimately, like I think that's what it's about. I just think it's about trying to get the bloodlines in more balance with the total population that there is today. That's my theory, though. Or they were trying to slow me down directly.
That's a whole nother thing.
What about you, ZG? Any comment on that?
I'm pretty surprised that they've kept just looking at the aftermarket sales, which seems like it's been pretty predominant in their determination of what breeding prices are going to be. You can't sell an elite unraced, unnamed, but for maybe 0.03, 0.05 profit right now. And that's not the point of the game. If it's really about breeding and breeding the best horses, we should accept that some horses are not going to be racers and lower the breeding prices so that we can accommodate that.
Most
And
of them
pretending,
will not be racers. Most of them
yeah,
are not going to be fast.
right?
So,
They're bad horses, a lot of them, just like real life. Right?
mm,
If this is going to model real life, then there are going to be predominantly bad racers. If you look at Secretariat, he had maybe one half decent offspring. That's it. But if you look at Medina Spirit, 4 generations back, he's inbred with two of the offspring from Secretariat, right? So that bloodline eventually did mean something, but it never meant something immediately. And I think that's kind of the purpose of Zed Run is there's always going to be that random effect, just like real life. But the most valuable DNA will still be valuable over others, just like how dog breeding, you don't want to have an ugly ass Pomeranian that can't get the back legs on the ground because it's walking around on 2 feet, right? To breed with the champion because it's probably not going to make a great Pomeranian because it's been so finely tuned at that point that it's not good to introduce this abnormality into the DNA. Right? I think that Zed is the time. What I've always told people, and I haven't really emphasized it recently, is Zed's timeline is long.
Yes.
It's
mhm.
it's not meant for our lifetime. It's going to live longer than us. The metaverse is going to live longer than us. So it makes sense that the reintroduction of horse racing will live longer than us. So to think that it's going to be so easy that horses are going to be better than the previous generation, I think is a little bit naive, just looking at how real life horse racing is and the timeline of the game. But I think on the same aspect and terms, the developers are being naive to think that they can raise the prices beyond market protections because that's what we're dealing with.
Well, it's
Interesting.
I believe they raised the prices as a response to the sale of Billions. I don't know if it was before Billions because I wasn't on the space when they started drastically increasing the U.S. dollar value, but that's when my eyes got open to the dead platform was after the billion sale, and then slowly I started taking in more and more information. Just because I'm a like you, I'm an old school crypto guy. I was like posting on Steam it back in the day, and then I fell off to do a hot dog. I pulled all my money out to make a hot dog cart or start a business selling hot dogs and stuff. So I'm an old school crypto guy as well, and I was completely out of the radar, and I had like some money left over that ballooned when I came back in, which was pretty cool. And so
It would be nice to have two Colts off of Billions.
yes,
He
so
does. He's
no,
just talking shit.
well I heard he breeds pretty well though. I heard he breeds pretty well.
Yeah, he
So
got one off Excalibur and Billions. And
Billions.
Excalibur is like
Yeah.
my example of like the difference between the race algorithm changing between pre-December and post is
mhm,
that Billions is one of the best racers before the algorithm racing algorithm reset.
mhm.
Because the Z teams admitted that it wasn't a genetic algorithm reset. It was just a
A
racing
racing
algorithm
a
reset
racing
that
reset.
was changed the interpretation. And what Dr. Nina and I have talked about is the profile 4, where it's those horses now that we're seeing are predestined to win third or fourth.
Yes,
And they're getting flames now no matter what. So Dr. Nina have been talking about that for a bit. Like maybe horses are just competing for places,
yes,
right?
Well, I think
Right?
here's something I'm gonna put to the product portal. I think fourth place should be paid out half of the entry fee, because you get a pity point.
No
Everybody
pity
everybody
points.
hates the pity
I
point,
hate
That's a
pity
literal
points.
pity points.
but yes, half of the entry fee should be with fourth place games.
Nah,
There should just
nah.
be,
They're giving
honestly,
you
there
a
should
you have to
no.
gain a
There should be
point.
more free races. There should be more opportunities for your donkeys that you don't have to spend money to put into, and it should be paid by an advertiser. So if Home Depot wants their banner on the track, they pay $20, and it's a free race. And if you get third place, you take some money home. It's the only way to evenly distribute some of the revenue back to users that have terrible horses, and we all
Well,
have bad horses.
under the current system, if they I said it a gazillion times, but under the current system, I don't know what they have in the future because they're making an elo system, and I hope they hire somebody from like Riot or Dota to make the elo system because
Fire Jeff.
that's like no Jeff's I don't know what he does, but I'm not going
Jeff
to
hates it.
criticize him like you do. But making an elo system, even for myself as a game designer, is boom. Like so, under the current
Well,
class system, if they just expanded it to 10, some of those donkeys would be able to race against each other in class 10.
That's true.
And
let
Yes.
let me add on to what I
because
was
used
saying
to have to
about
race with two
Excalibur.
classes when it started.
Excalibur was one of the best racing horses in the previous representation of the racing algorithm on the GA.
Free the
And
reset.
then
Free the January.
after it, she was one of the what we call profile fours, the hardest profile four, where she can't do anything but finish second, third, or fourth, and she keeps moving
Mm-hmm.
up
That sucks.
in the class.
Up in
But
the
there has to be a value to that. If
Yes,
the horse that was previously one of the best racers is now one of the best at doing that, then the representation has to be correlative.
I'm gonna go with something Doofy told me a long time ago. Cause I used to always be on his stream when he was streaming. Uh, he said that's not a you're not losing money with that horse. That's a great horse.
Mm-hmm.
If your horse always finishes second or third, you have a good horse. That you basically have terms of engagement,
Yeah.
which is one of the best horses on the platform. You put that horse in a tournament, you're going to be second or third, or possibly pull a first.
And going back to your question, MJ, of like, what do I think about like, do we have to go legendary on legendary, exclusive on
Yeah.
exclusive, right? Maybe some horses are better at making that legendary level back onto exclusive to make the elite level, right? Maybe that's part of being a second or third place finisher predominantly. Well, it's a second or third place finisher. Maybe this is a legendary stack that goes onto an exclusive to make that elite, and it's more advantageous that way. I think those kind of patterns we got to look at.
Mm-hmm.
All right, really fast. I am sorry to do a quick interrupt, but courtesy of Lucky Jack and the Pony Plug, I am going to
Woo!
start this raffle. It's going to be a 2-minute raffle. You put an exclamation point raffle into the horse giveaway. It's going to be um, the hold on. Let me pull up my stable. I'm sorry, fellas.
No worries.
Sorry about that.
No,
Let me
do
pull
the
up my
giveaway. This
stable.
is
You're good.
important for the community. These are always good for the
Yes.
community.
Lucky Jack and people like him who give back to the community. That's it. I didn't start the raffle yet. Don't start typing. People, I see you typing. Hold
Thank
on.
you, Lucky Jack. Thank
It's
you,
going
man.
to be a Z12 exclusive Zabo by the
Woo!
name of Zabo Jack.
All right.
It's going to be a 2-minute, and I am starting the giveaway right now.
Well, while we're waiting, let's look at the lineage of this horse.
Yes.
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
pull it up.
Pull it up. Let me.
Um,
See
while
what
that's
we...
being pulled up, I got a question for both of you guys. I'm helping a handful of newer players come on and like onboard them into Zed, and a lot of them are looking just for budgetary reasons at the exclusive and elite level, some legendary. Um, how would you recommend? And this is, I'm sure, an impossible question to answer, but any kind of guidelines or rule of thumb you'd recommend for them to look for from a breeding standpoint, or things to consider at least? Not
I'll go back
necessarily
to
a
my
golden answer
question.
of.
What's the bloodline?
So if we're looking at a Buterin exclusive or Buterin elite,
um,
And I know this could go a
I'm gonna leave
million
that
and one
to
ways,
Z.
but
That's more. This is ZG territory, so I'm not gonna creep in that space.
uh, things
All right,
to look out for or to maybe consider.
and I'm sorry, I'm still trying to figure out how
So,
to get
so, so
DN
at
up.
for ZG, there's the audience question about elite booterins, what to look for and buy. Is it buying them off of OpenSea? Is that my understanding?
No, to breed. So like I'm
Pretty great.
trying to help onboard a handful of people, and a lot of the newer players are buying exclusive and elite booterins just for like pricing reasons, but they want to eventually expand their stable and breed. So is there any? I mean, I know this is could be a complete dice roll, but is there anything that they should be looking for or considering? Does
I
Z number matter a whole lot? Like, what are some
Yeah.
recommendations or guidelines you could maybe give?
So I think number one, Z number means nothing to me. Maybe it might be tied to mutation rate. That's more of a complex answer, but I think a Z80 or Z100 Buterin will beat a Z10 Nakamoto within a year or two when it's properly inbred. When you have the right horses to make that happen.
Hmm.
Um, when you're looking at the elite level of Buterin and an exclusive level of Buterin, that's very difficult, right? Because something that Dr. Reno and I have talked about is like the mutation rate a bunch of times. And something to clarify earlier when I was talking about the existing population is that when you look at the existing population comparative to Nakamoto's and Buterins, it's always going to be exponentially greater than Nakamoto's than the aforementioned Buterins. But it's always about just the population growth. So it just makes it even more likely that Nakamoto's and Sazabos will be less likely like to their foals than Buterins will. But if I was looking to start with Buterins and start on a budget, I would find other good Buterins to kind of emulate and create cousin lines with to breed towards. Just tonight, I found a 18% winner off Vector Shine. That was a legendary Buterin. I reached out to Dr. Ian and I was, hey, I need you to breed with this horse. I know I don't have anything. I know you have a legendary horse off Supreme Line, which is a cousin to Supreme Impulse, which is another 18% winning legendary Buterin. So now we've brought in this Vector Shine DNA, which is a 20% winner on the Genesis level. And then the legendary offspring that has 18% winning rate on it into the line of Supreme line. And now we can fold that into Supreme Impulse. I know it's not a simple answer to a
Yeah,
long,
no, no, yeah,
but
that's
that's what I'm
helpful.
trying to do. Is we're looking at the legendary horses that are successful because there's so much mutation rate on the Genesis that we're trying to leverage the DNA of good legendary horses to grow family trees from that aspect.
Fantastic. I love that.
All
Thank you. I
right.
don't. That went a little longer than I expected. That was on me, but just shout out. It looks like we got our winner from our raffle.
All
Oh,
right. And
nice.
so it's Gutters 23. And I'm going to go. Let's see if I still got this back in. Gutters 23. Send
Congrats,
myself
Gutters.
MJ Stables a whisper on Twitch and send us your wallet address, and that way I can get the horse to you. Just so it get it through. There will be another horse giveaway as well.
Yeah. Did we want to?
Um,
Sorry, I cut you off, but do you want to pull up the lineage of the horse that Gutters just won?
all right, so he got a Zabo Z12 exclusive that's bred from two Z6s. The mother, did I get right to the mother? Good
Yeah,
morning from
it looked like
Japan.
other than the parents, it looked like all the horses on top weren't really run a whole lot. So it's tough to glean profiles when horses aren't run one or twice. You know what I mean?
Yes, and but its mother, which is Good Morning from Japan, did produce an 18% winner in Royal Moon. I don't know how many races that is. I'll look it up really fast. Uh, Over 37 races, 18%. That's not a lot of races, but that's still a good start for that for its sister. Let me see if I can pull this up really fast. I can't see the chat while I'm doing this, so let me
I
screen
think Cass and
remove.
Dad's jumping in.
Oh, hey, Evs. Ebbs is actually pretty good at Call of Duty. I was talking shit, and he's actually a killer.
No, don't
He's a
give him that
killer.
credit. What are you
Nah, I'm
doing?
gonna give him credit. He's
You
he's almost
just you just want Zed News Network to be endorsed
no,
by Zed Run.
no. He's
I've seen
almost as
him
good
run out from behind every boulder. Um,
as he's almost as good as his son. His son's a killer. But he's almost as good. All right, so this is the horse that was given to
hey,
us courtesy of
I believe in
Lumberjack and the
Castmore.
Pony Club, and this is the horse that
Powder
Gutters has
blue.
won. This is
Congrats,
Zabo
Gutters.
Z12. It comes from two Z6 legendaries. One of the Z6 legendaries has a Nakamoto. Um, it looks like a Z4 and a Z2 to make the Z6. So it has Nakamoto blood and has a lot of strict Zabo blood. None of the horses were raced overly. Well, its mother was raced, or excuse me, its father was raced a lot. But it looks like he's got a pretty good horse in the line, so he should do pretty well with that horse. I believe because I just got a Z11 and Gutter sent me it. I'm gonna ask him for his password. Never send your password
Never
or
say your
your seed
passwords.
phrase to anyone. That's ever. Never send your password or your seed phrase. Only put your seed phrase in on a new computer if you don't have it in already, and whatever
Don't
browser
send
you're
your
using.
horses to Jay, Dr. Ian.
Yeah. Sorry, I got fished. So
And so the
it
second
can happen.
giveaway,
Hey, scams can happen to everybody. I'll just say that out there. Be careful out
Yeah.
there. Leave out there, Zed Run world. They can happen to everybody. It's
the
like
Yeah.
but
I'm working full time and I'm not paying attention sometimes. That's when the shit happens. So
Oh,
But yeah,
jab.
horns
Get
in
out
the
of here.
chat. If you're a veteran from Strong Versa, or horns in the chat, or Billy's in chat, just a one time shout out to Gutters because I see him in a lot of different people's streams, so he's in the community and happy to give him a horse. Oh man.
Well done, Gutters. Well done.
And so
Excited for you. Let us know how the horse performs. It'll be a lot of fun.
and so getting back into the breeding talk, really fast. I do have this one question because people are criticizing you down there, ZG, for this one. You're not in favor of mixing the bloodlines. I personally am in favor. I think mixing the bloodlines that's good, but I've had a horse that was pure Finny and a horse that was Finny and Zabo, and both of them are pretty good horses. And so I would like to know your take on it as well, MJ, because Gold War is a great horse as well. I don't know if it's a mixed. I believe it's also a mixed bloodline.
It
And
is.
Dr. Ian, from what I understand, you're in favor of mixing bloodlines. So
yeah, I it's some bloodlines mix better than others. And then the other thing I would say is if you mix the bloodlines of two parents' horse and it's the same proportion, i.e., like the same two bloodline, you know what I mean, the same piece of bloodlines, and then you breed those horses together. I've seen good things from that, but it is difficult when you mix bloodlines to make them breed well in the future. Just know that. You're kind of playing for that next horse, and that's what you're kind of playing for when you do that. Unless you do what I've described is find a pair, a matching pair for that horse, or matching, whatever for that horse of similar two bloodlines.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I want to be clear that like I'm not against mixing bloodlines. I'm just against the data collection on it of trying to examine the differences on variables between two horses, right? If we start mixing bloodlines, we're already introducing more variables than if we just kept it the same. So back in the day when Dr. Ian and I were talking about twins all the time, I give full credit to Dr. Ian for twins, right? I was opposed to it at first, but like that's where the computer science side of it, of just like comparing the coin flip, we wanted to do that, and we thought, or at least I thought, that having the same bloodline will limit the variables to something that's more discernible than if you go across bloodline. I think we both, Dr. and I, agree that it could be a shortcut to making better horses. And like Dr. Ian just said, maybe it doesn't breed the best horses in the future. Right? Vanilla Bean is having some problems making anything presentable, and she's half Finny, or is she half Nakamoto?
I'll look it up right now. Give me one moment.
Yeah, I would say anything I have that's crossbred, they themselves don't necessarily make a good horse. It's sometimes the grandchild of that said horse. But here, oh, I have an example of a horse. Hold on, that's like that. But
Which one?
it's
Yeah. While you pull
um
it up,
You
I'm
sent
going to take a restroom break.
you sent me
well,
We've
two.
we've been on 2.5 hours of streams at this point. Right.
Yeah, because you did the
okay.
whole
So
big.
I've been sharing in private chat. I'm not sure if you can see that.
All
So.
right. Yeah, I'm pulling them up. I
The
have
the
all three
last
horses.
horse, if you pull up on is it Zed Tools, that's a pretty good one to look at, and that's kind of what I'm describing. Is
Okay.
this is success I've seen from a horse that's effectively two bloodlines, like its parents are the two bloodlines. I think it's Nakamoto and Buterin. I think about that for a second, but they're both like both the parents are half of each, and then I
Okay.
put them on. That I think might be the only way to breed a crossbred horse successfully, but I'm gonna have to test more of that with myself.
I'll get to you in the future. I own two Z8 Finnies that were both of their parents are Z5 Genesis Finnies, and both of their dads are Z3 Genesis Zabo. So I'm gonna test that in like 15 days or so.
Yeah, no, I think
Nice.
that's the test. But that last horse I shared, if you look at the Genesis horses, you'll recognize a few of
All
them.
right. Yeah, you own like some
Well, no,
great.
I mean, like those Genesis horses I don't own, but I was able to bring in bloodline off the stud market. So
All right, I'm gonna pull this video up again. Alrighty, and parents. The exclusive Penny Lane. I actually know that horse.
that's she's my horse. That's where I mean that's a good crossbred horse, but she herself does not make good horses. Um, so you can see grandeur and so the Genesis colts off that are good horses effectively because you've got grandeur and insane him.
Where we go here? All right, shoot.
And even Penny Lane's crossbred too. So I mean, this is what I'm describing, but I'm even breaking a little what I'm describing too to make this work. So she's crossbred, Finny. So I personally, if you're gonna crossbreed, I think Finny's and Buterins is the way to go with higher level success. Now, of course, there are exceptions to all those rules, right?
Yeah.
Um, but even like you can see that like those parents' horse, those were not good, and that's a winning horse right there.
Yeah.
Oh God, you're making more winning horses.
You know, I just it's a game of breeding. I thought I'd get good at it.
Hey,
75% first,
Whoo. That's
10, 17.
that's real nice.
Yeah, that's actually really nice right here. A couple
hmm
more races at this level to bring the ROI up.
I heard about this elite tournament that might have to happen. You know,
Sometime in the future, it's looking like. I think
hmm
just so we can crack breeding as a I think we can crack breeding. I think somebody's working on a tournament, but haven't got all the details situated. It's looking like, but yeah,
Breeding's tough.
breeding
Breeding's
is definitely
hard.
tough. It's a tough game, which is I think something people are going to allude to is breeding's tough, but that's the gamesmanship of the game. You know. Oh, I got the. Let me stop sharing this. I'm sharing this because that's the only way I can check chat again because for some reason it's not showing up on Melon apps. But yeah, I think breeding's the future of the game. It gives everybody an opportunity because none of us actually understand it. And so when I came in as a somebody who only was allowed only allowed himself to make an investment of $1,000, which is lower than a lot of people in there to be up. I think now my stable, I should value it at somewhere around 3,000 since April, which as Central said in your Zed space earlier or your Twitch space earlier, that to be able to have your return on investment that big, that fast is amazing, and some people need to just be a little bit more patient because your horse is more valuable than it was yesterday. Even if it is a donkey, it's still more valuable because that is still adding to the platform.
And adding user base at this point
And
too.
as the user base gets bigger, your horse becomes more valuable because there's still less horses in the platform, and the more events that take place. Like if you don't know about Heroin, he does a donkey tournament. Um, Heroin does a donkey tournament. It's called the Destiny Series. If you have a donkey and it's always placing in the back end, you could win some ETH. So look into that. I have him in the description. He's a great dude, and he likes looking for the little guy, I guess. Zombies doing tournaments, and the Pony Plug has done. They're on their fifth tournament. That's a higher end. It's low buy in cost. 50% of the buy in totality goes toward charity, like children's hospitals, which is a worthy cause. Children, they are our future, and so donating to hospitals for kids that are sick. If you have a problem with that, then I don't think you have a place in this community. Yeah, I said it. Like if you have a problem with people donating to sick kids, then I don't even want to associate with you. And I think most of the people in the community probably feel the same way. Um, Sean versus all, he's doing the Zed bets. Like there's just so many things that are being done on this platform, and it's not just a giveaway. This is the community. Like we have our down things, but we have a lot of things that are on the up and up. We support each other, and we try to basically make sure people learn the platform. If you're gonna lose some money, you're gonna lose some money. We've all lost money. Uh, us that got in April, not the people who got in like November last year, like two people below me, November, October last year. We got in with donkeys, like pure donkeys, and we lost some money, but we had fun, and now we're up for the most part. I don't know too many
And
people who got in April that are
we Yeah, no, we feel for the people that got the donkeys, and that's kind of like why we gave our research away,
down.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure that they,
Because donkeys can make champions. I mean, that's
yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Yes,
that's kind of the fun of this game is just that. Like bad horses can make good horses,
mm,
and
My
the
best
best
horse came.
horses today don't make good horses. It's just how it is, right? So
yeah,
everyone should feel like they have a chance.
and it's a game of experimentation.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
my best horse came from a 2% winner.
There you go. And
are you talking about
everyone's
those
strategy
four?
can be different.
Yeah.
I mean, ZG and I
Great
have
horse.
our own strategies, but we work together, and sometimes we work apart, but we share information. That's what it takes. Is like you need other people to do this game with, to ask questions to see what they're trying. It's not a game you can play in like a vacuum, just like an island. It's just not.
Preach.
Yes. I'm gonna send Gutters this horse, and then I'm gonna come back to start the last giveaway.
Oh man. Oh
If
man.
anybody got a Twitter, tweet away. If you know somebody that doesn't have a horse, tweet away to get in the raffle. But it's gonna be probably a minute or two.
What is this next horse that we have coming up that we're giving away?
Um,
From Lucky
Hold on.
Jack. Shout out again to Lucky Jack. Thank you so much. Pony
Lucky
Plug
Jack
as
and the
well.
Pony Plug, plugging
And
them
the Pony
both.
Plug.
'Cause
Can't forget
Lucky
Pony
Jack
Plug.
is a co-founder of the Pony Plug. All right, and let's come back. I'm gonna send you the link, MJ, if you want to share your screen
Sure. Yeah,
to the
absolutely.
horse. Okay, let me come into Zed Run, racing, events. I went to events. Sorry, the stable.
So we kind of pulled this up, what new things are you guys, any new theories, any new thoughts, any new explorations you're going down that you'd feel like sharing with the world right now? Or is it more of just still focusing on what's currently going on?
For me, it's much of the same. It's much of the same things I've been talking about for the last few months. It's inbreeding. It's focusing on Knox. It's really trying to do that. That's what I've been focusing on.
Yeah, and I'm trying to build out my community infrastructure to hopefully leverage better horses that are bred from ones around me, right? Trying to pull in Vanilla Bean and see if that can help us at all, breeding from the sire and dame from them and folding back in. But it's all about community and seeing how, you know, randomization can create leverage for partners that believe in each other, kind of thing.
Yeah, and we also have Zed School. I mean, I think Zed School's fairly new. We've been putting a lot of time into that, especially.
Yeah,
We're gonna try to make as many episodes as we can before we just sound like watered down and not interesting. So that's kind of a thing for us at this point as well. So
it becomes a challenge.
yeah, I mean, no one just wants to listen to us talk.
I
Yeah,
like it. I
actually,
enjoy
we
it.
do.
No, we've been doing this for almost a year now. That's why we can get a bit contentious. And we did it with each other. We'd sit around for like an hour, 2, 3 hours a night. You know,
Mhm.
drink a few beers, smoke a few blunts, and across the country try and figure out this game. So that's how we kind of came to the place we were, making the website, making the Twitter handle,
Mhm.
collecting the horses that Dr. Ian did.
Mhm.
I told him he was ridiculous, but now looking back, I was the wrong one.
Yeah, I
So
mean, all your community engagement though, man, it's been incredible. So I mean, it's been the two of us. We've been working together the whole time, and we know each other in real life. So I actually think that really matters because apparently, if you just meet someone on the web, maybe you can't trust them, but we're actually friends in real life. So I
yeah,
would highly recommend a friend in real life doing this with you. Oh.
and even like what we're doing right now is part of the plan, right? Because like when we artivored it, like what was going to stop, us from being successful in this game is kind of those. Yeah, he's prepared.
Definitely,
Um,
everyone in the world should read this book, especially if you're in corporations or in sales.
yeah, and if you're trying to combat those kind of people.
Mhm.
So like in this situation, really the only with as much research as we had done and the horses we collected are mostly Dr. Ian, the biggest,
Showing.
you know, contention we would face is from investors or incoming investors. And what we viewed it was as long as we perpetuate community and build up community and make everyone else strong as community, then there's no reason for us not to work together. But if we get divided by investors, then that's when everyone loses.
Mhm.
So that's like we like to go on everyone's stream. We like to support everyone's websites. That's a big part of our strategy as well. Not just like the breeding of finding the best horses. It's about building the community for everyone.
Mhm.
We saw value for that.
I mean, it's an
Appreciate that.
expensive game. We've talked about it. It's a hobby now. It's an expensive game. We didn't want people coming in, buying
Weird
horses,
hobby.
and dumping them. I'm like, we want people to come in, engage, be a member of the community, grow your stable, build out, and build new great things. Like the number of great sites, and we've mentioned them tonight, like Haku, Know Your Horses, the Zed Tools. I mean, it's like
And J Analytics.
yeah, AJ Lennox, like I mean, yeah, like the host here as well, right? I mean, it's just like it's amazing what the community has built. And if you think if these people have come in and they had a bad experience to start with, maybe they don't build those things. So
Yeah.
we have to try to find a way to level up the playing field, and sharing all of our information was the way. I wasn't about it initially, but it was the way.
Yeah, we spent a lot of hours. A lot
So
of hours reading about it. Yeah.
you
There
you
was a
have
lot
a
of art of war conversation. I'm not joking.
you have a question for both of you. It's from Harold Craft. Sorry, I can't bring the questions up for some reason. It's bugging out. It says, "Do you believe in racing everything or breeding unbred?"
I run my horses. They're not snowflakes. Run them. You want to know their profiles? Like I'm a believer in running all. It's just me, but But the thing is you don't have to play the game the way I play the game. That's how I play the game.
Yeah.
Uh,
And if you look at Primo Filius, the horse that I'm leveraging pretty heavily in my breeding trees, being such a strong one, both of his sire is unraced and it's been making really good horses regardless of that fact. So I'm gonna keep breeding with that guy even if he's unraced.
all right. And so while we're getting ready, I'm gonna start this second giveaway. And yes, my stable is called I Want Winners. It's Mike Singletary because I can't do nothing with nothing that's not a winner. All right,
Need the ball of clay.
Oh, so it's the Z13. Okay, yeah, so it's a Z13 legendary
and
Buterin.
really
Oh, sorry.
fast.
Go ahead. Start it
Go
off.
ahead.
My bad.
Exclamation point raffle. It's starting now, going for 2 minutes.
So
Type
yeah, it's
exclamation point raffle. Only one person's in so far. There we go. All right, go ahead, MJ.
yeah, so it's a Z13 legendary Buterin Philly and Coral Wave, which is a rare coat. Unraced name is Butejack Wave, and for its lineage, single barrel Z5 Genesis Finney, and speed of life a Z8 Genesis Buterin. Looks like raced decently, pretty good place at 17.65%. Yeah, so pretty exciting, rare coat, and this horse can be yours.
This horse can be yours.
No, Zed Retro does not boot Jack Horseman.
And
Great
so
question
yes,
there. Great
it's
question
still a
there.
minute left. I hope everybody got their told their friends to come on in.
Free horse, courtesy of Lucky Jack and the Pony Plug.
Yes.
Well, while we're waiting, are y'all gonna play with your AR, like with the horses in AR yet? Like
I
I'm not.
already do.
Yeah, like, I think there's much more to the social media game and just that space than we have seen, and I think there's awesome advertising opportunities coming in the future. And so it's something I need to. I have an Android tablet, I guess. I have to figure out how I'm going to do this at some point too. So
See, I've been a Samsung Galaxy guy for a while. Ugh, and that's a nice coat. What coat does it have?
Coral Wave.
Coral Wave.
Ooh, I like Coral Wave. Ugh.
I love the AR app. I just got an Oculus a few days ago, and like put up like a big simulated screen, watched a Zed race on it, and it was absolutely wild. Like it was
really,
crazy. It was, oh man.
I
All
mean,
right.
I've had dreams of it at this point, but haven't done that yet. And because I think if you've watched the shows and heard me talk, like the first time I watched a 3D race, I was like, oh, okay, I could see people watching this instead of real horse racing in like 25 years. Like I could easily see this being the thing that we're doing. Like immediately. Like I was like, okay, like I was almost in it like immediately. It didn't take much arm twisting for ZG to get me in. So
All
Yeah,
right.
it was pretty easy.
So I'm gonna hit the button to pick the winner. I'm gonna ask for horns in the chat real fast. Shout out to Sean Versal. Horns in the chat. We're gonna pick this winner. I don't see no horns.
There we go. There we go. Here they come.
Sorry, good night. The raffle is over, and so here we go. Pick the winner, and it is Anthony Hart.
Anthony Hart, are you here?
Anthony
Congratulations.
No Hart. He's got to be here. He
congratulations.
typed in. He typed it in.
Anthony No Hart.
Billy's in chat for Anthony No Hart. I'm brought it up, and
There,
Anthony,
there. Yes, yes. Let's go. Congrats.
Welcome to the Zed Run fam. Be a
welcome
good
to the
member. Be a
Zed
good
Run
community
family.
member
Jack Wave.
now.
And send me a whisper. Gutters, your horse should have arrived as well. Oof.
Sorry about the
It's okay.
little trippy.
It's a little Tron like. I'm just saying, a little Tron like.
Full circle, bringing it full circle. I love it.
Yes. Anthony, whisper to Golden Glow Master your wallet address. I'll say something in chat again. And if you guys want to race it in a Griffey, we will be happy to broadcast it live.
Absolutely.
And here we go, Billy's. Oh, no, Chandra.
Thank you, Israel. Appreciate it.
But yeah, I know you've been streaming for a while. I'm happy to have you guys again. There was something I wanted to ask and I forgot. Blame it on the alcohol, T-Pain.
GG, come on, man, put it away.
I got
I'm
off of
rolling
work,
it.
bro. I hop off.
I know what you're doing over there. I've seen you do it in person.
I'm rolling it. I'm not smoking it.
Oh wow, this guy here. All right.
UFO Nut says Trans 2.99 on Amazon Prime Video. Let's go.
Oh wow. Maybe one day we'll stream it in Discord. Cause you can't stream it here. You'll get us blacklisted. Well, wait up. Amazon owns Twitch. I wonder if that's against the terms of service.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
Yeah, I know it does. Make sure, Anthony, please make sure you send me a direct message. I just put Billy's in chat again, a little bit under yours. Um, so as far as the future of Zed is concerned, this is something that I was thinking about. When we achieve everything as far as the rain, possibly snow, possibly grass, possibly dirt. I think right now it's all dirt,
It's all sunny. It's
It's all dirt and
it's the
sunny.
same surface. They don't. If you look at the metadata per race, it doesn't necessarily tell you track surface, but it should in the future.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be pertinent based on the track that you're on because it will be stat, and then the weather will change based on the oracle. So yeah, like I think in the future, it would be fun if where you're racing it's raining at that time. That's the weather. Can't cheat it. You know, you can't predict it. You'd say, you know, maybe my horse doesn't run well in Arizona in the summertime. I won't race there. You know what I mean? It could be something like that too. Um, I actually hope that's predicted on color. I actually hope color has something to do with weather preference and surface
I would
preference.
love that.
But I've been hoping that for a long time. So that's wishful thinking.
Real fast, Anthony. Your stable's called Rupert's Stable.
Rupert, is that a Family Guy reference? Like the teddy bear from
Hey.
Family Guy?
See, I think
Guys, I
Rupert,
gotta jump off. I don't mean to be so quick, but
Get
I
out of
got a
here,
call.
man.
No worries,
Get out
no
of here,
worries.
man.
Thank
All
you,
right, you
CG.
guys have a good night.
I'll
Thank
hold
you.
down the fort to the end for
You as
Team
well.
Me
ZG.
too. Thanks,
But
CG.
You
Appreciate
tell
it.
everyone how to, poorly breed, cross bloodline, whatever you got to do.
Oh no,
Muddy
that's
up the
great
waters.
breeding.
Muddy up the
Don't listen to
waters.
ZG. Even Centribus was like, ZG full of shit. I'm crossbreeding.
Crossbreed if you want to crossbreed. Play the game
Yes.
you want to play it. Like that's the fun of the game too.
Okay, so I'm gonna send him his horse now. It's confirmed. It should be there inside of a minute or two, or inside 5 minutes. All right,
Awesome.
and so MJ, your video keeps freezing. You got
Why?
the
I don't know what's
greatest
going
smile
on
in the
tonight. I
world.
don't know what's
I
going on
know
tonight.
you've
It's the
been stuck in
greatest
that mood,
smile
so
in
I've
the
just been
world right
listening to
now,
you.
though. It's like happiness.
It's good. I'm very happy tonight. Can you hear me okay still?
Yes,
Oh yeah.
I can hear
Oh
you
yeah.
fine.
Good. Yeah, I need a new computer bad.
Okay, he said Anthony did say his dog passed away 2 months ago. Sorry to hear that. I'm a dog person. You named the
Ooh.
stable after him, Rupert, and Rupert to me is it's a reference to I forgot the name of the Eddie Murphy movie where it's him and Dan Aykroyd and they take all Dan Aykroyd's money and then
Trading Places.
trading places. Yes,
It's like
the
that
two
is a
brothers
you are I'm 38. That is a classic 80s movie. If you have not seen it, man, those two are awesome in it. It's a
Yes,
classic
I
movie. I
fell in
love
love
that
with
movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis back then.
And honestly, oh yeah, and the whole like thing with the GME short at the same time is so like topical and yeah, that's a
The
great
two
movie.
brothers were Rupert and Mortimer.
That's a great movie.
It's called Trading Places in a Week.
Yeah, that's Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah, young Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
Yes. And so I'm gonna take some
She wasn't
questions.
selling what was it? She's not selling yogurt for people's like probiotic yogurt in that movie. She's selling something else. You should go find out what.
Sorry.
So yeah, any questions from chat? Any questions from chat before we sign off for the evening? Dr. Ian, do you have any questions for Golden Glow or myself?
No, thank you all for what you're doing for the community. Thank you guys so much for hosting us. Everything, man, it's great. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Happy to have you on. We'd love to have you again anytime.
Yeah.
This has been a blast. It's been a good time. We should have a
Oh my
party
god.
when we get ZG to watch Tron.
Well, for
Yes.
sure. And then if we can get a Zed Run event, maybe in our nation's capital, we could all meet in person. So
I
That
would
would
love
be
that.
that'd
that
be
would be a lot of
huge.
fun.
Or we could no Zed Run event in St. Louis for America. So that's the middle of the country.
St.
Ooh, I,
Louis.
I love
Okay.
St. Louis.
I'm
Middle
okay
I
of the
love
with
St.
that.
country.
Louis.
Only if we go to a Cardinals game, because that's fun in St. Louis.
Cool. If they're playing the Yankees, it's even better. But then my girlfriend will
I'm a
come with
Texas
me.
Ranger fan, so I don't always love the Cardinals for obvious reasons, going back to that World Series, but great fan base, great, they're a great baseball squad, great organization, all of that.
Yes. All right. And so let's see. I think we do have a couple questions. Uh hold on, I'm just going through. Do we think there will be something in place that will encourage people to class up their horses? At the moment, there is zero advantage to classing up. That's by JD43 Gaming. And so, um, my personal opinion is, um, I did put something in the product portal that I think that they should lower, like have monetary value, like certain amount of money should only be allowed to be raced at certain classes.
It gets hard if it. I know what you mean. It gets hard if you get to class one and every race is like $30. That can get
Mm-hmm.
kind of difficult. What they could do, going back to the point I was making, is that if there's more free races
Mm-hmm.
and you have an advertiser, instead of that advertiser paying for clicks, they pay to get their logo in that race, and that
Yes.
money as a free race can be distributed back to the owners of back to the stable community like that. So, because if you think about that, if people often post pictures from races. If your company's logo is in that race, it's an organic way to just generate advertising in that
Yes.
sense. It's the only way. Like this game, otherwise is a hobby, and it's hard to make money in this game, y'all. Like just know that.
Unless you're arbitrage or
Yeah, no, the top percent of the percent can always do well in any endeavor, but the key is what is the average stable, the average user looking like, and how can they be profitable or at least break even and have fun? Because otherwise, there won't be a community. So
Murphy's Law Stable's the other guy. Those two guys are freaking geniuses as far as racing and identifying horses are. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. Somebody just sent it to me.
Oh, nice.
Shout out to HeroCraft. Eventually, I'm gonna try to interview you as well. Uh, hopefully, we can get that done at sometime in the future. But yes, I agree with what you just said, Doctor Ian. That it to approach it and put maybe some advertising on the tracks. That would be a great way to increase free racing. The only thing is I believe free racing takes place off chain,
hmm.
and I also believe it works on a different algorithm than
It
the
is a
actual.
different race algo.
And so they would have to put the racing algorithm. I think it should be streamlined. Whatever algorithm they're using for free racing, I think it's actually better than the one for paid racing because it's more competitive. But
It's
that's
I no, I mean the paid racing is more competitive. I guess it depends on the horses that you're running and the kid situation. I think the handicap, for me, the handicap is like imagine a volume. I think it's
mm,
turned up for paid racing and it's turned down for free racing.
okay.
So the things that make a horse non-advantageous are more pronounced in paid racing than free racing.
Okay.
That's what I've noticed based on the odds. I used to run a lot of free races back in February, December, so
Hmm.
just looking at a lot of that. But that's to me. But to your point, though, I would like to see a little more consistency, or I would just like to see more free races and that bots can't get into because it's
Yes.
just we got to find a way
Exactly.
again. Like, how does the average stable profit in this game? That is it. That's the question that has to happen because if it doesn't, people won't play.
Is it
Okay.
a different algorithm, or is it just that there's because it's opened up so much to I was in a class 1 free race just trying to knock out some Gold Wars stamina, and I had a class 5 with a 0 score in there. Like, is it a different algo, or is it just that there's more
I
variance that makes it potentially easier?
so if you watch the races not in 3D but 2D, and you kind of watch them as if and pretend as if they're like going up like a rocket, right? You
Okay.
sort of
Oh,
think
sure, sure, sure.
if you watch the races like that, you'll notice in free races, it's almost like there's less gravitational pull on the horse, but it effectively is the implied handicap that are given to the horse at that time. Free races, it's like being on the moon is how I almost describe it, as opposed to Earth. Paid races Earth, free races Moon. You just have less gravity pulling on those horses and making them not perform at that level they would on like a free race. It's just that if that is a different race algorithm itself by defining of the handicap, it could be, or is it just the magnitude of which the handicap is higher or lower? That's what I
Could
don't know. But you know, GGM, you are a game builder, so you
Hmm.
probably have a better insight to that than I do.
if
Well, I think I've cracked the paid racing algorithm to an extent, and it's very very math intensive because it's every horse is race is put into a profile and they're pinged off of each other,
Mm-hmm.
and some type of there is a RNG, and I don't know what random number generator they're using, but there's some
It's like a
RNG.
roulette table. It's effectively, what you're saying, yeah. It's like a roulette table or something like
Hmm.
that. Yeah, I know
And
what you
so
mean.
they're pinged off of each other based off of whatever pre-existing attributes they have, and there's a race algorithm per horse, which will determine like where you're getting into these standard deviations that people have cracked. Um, those standard deviations are also randomly run against the horses to determine that in particular race, and which is why the back when we had odds, there's always a different outcome. Not always, but there's a different outcome over 1,000 horse over 1,000 races, and you can see what horse is more often winning. And so it's this is why there's a spook. The spook theory is real. It's not a theory. It's actually something that happens. Like some horses have a better overall stat line that pushes the other horses to the back of the pack when they
Mm-hmm.
race against them. And there's no
Mm-hmm.
chance for those other horses to win.
could
Like
that
Mm-hmm.
that. Go ahead.
well, I like spook. I believe in the spook theory, and I love the way you
It's not a
phrased.
theory. It's a fact.
I've seen it firsthand. I
Yeah.
agree with it. I love Doctor Ian the way you described the gravity. I thought that was like a really interesting word choice, and I really like that a lot. But could that be affected by just the wider variance in horses in there would create a different gravitational field per se within that race itself, much like this tying into the spook theory of like it's a spook theory but with different elements pulling on each other, which allows for certain things to happen in a more escalated way.
Yeah. No, I mean, yes, yes. Definitely is possible. I just, yeah, agreed. I think the level of that, let's call it spook amount feature, if you will,
Sure.
value, gets higher in a paid race. And it probably gets
Okay.
higher as you go up in class. This is something I've kind of been trying to figure out too, but that's a theory at this point in time.
I like that. I can anecdotally I can see that.
Well, it seems from just going back to when we had odds again, if your horse within class 5 and it had like point 0.5 or something odds, when it got to class 4, it might have went up to point 0.6 odds.
Hmm.
Then at class 3, it might have went up to point 0.7. And by the time it got to class 1, it might be point 0.9 or point 0.1. That's if you had a really, really good horse.
Yeah, that would have to be a really good horse. Yeah.
And some horses just say like point 0.7 across the board. Like if you look at like I have to go back to using like main event or Steph Curry. They were like point 0.7 all the way across the board to point 0.9 all the way across the board from class 5 all the way up to class 1. And that was their they have some type of profile that allows them to run against any horse. They don't get spooked. And so it's something
So
that
almost imagine like a game of like Texas Hold'em,
mhm
like they're a pair of jacks,
mhm
for example. If they, if they get, if they in that roulette table, that random number, if they get another jack, now they're trip jacks, for example, it's a pretty good hand, right? But a pair of jacks can do really well, for example. Or you have horses that are kind of like pull, like set, like having to like a jack 10, pull
Mm-hmm.
that straight, they can win. If not, sometimes like a way to think of the horses is a way to think of poker hands at times. Like some hands can win or lose. Some hands, if they get the right cards, can pull straights, for example, right? It's another way to think of the, because if you think about the horse, it's like holding the same poker hand. Every race is a different flop potentially. Those
Yes.
random numbers that are put out in front of it, and it may, it
Yes.
may not exactly be this exactly,
That's
but it is a way to think of it.
that's a great way to look at it. That's actually a perfect way to look at it based off of my observations on how the race algorithm works. Is
Mm-hmm.
your horse has a profile and it's whatever two cards it has. If it's bullets or two aces or something like that, like Mula Mula at 2400 or 20 at distance, he has two aces every single time. Whatever the flop is, he still got the
Right, and let's
highest
say like
winning
two good
winner.
horses are both pair of aces, so now they're
Yeah.
tied, and maybe it's about suit color,
Yes.
or if there's a third card we don't know about
Mm-hmm.
potentially, right? Like it's the way to think of it though, because like
Yes.
pair of jacks, nobody wins. What, maybe there's red, it's hearts over clubs or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like something like that. So
Yeah. Well, I've had a like I played Texas Hold'em and I flop. We got I had two aces or something like that, and an ace and two jacks pop. Guy got four of a kind, and I got a full house. I was not gonna fold. I ended up losing money. So
hey man, poker, you
that's
lose money in your good hands.
yes, that's the race algorithm. That's why the horse doesn't win every single race because sometimes the other horse flops like the random number generator.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the flop, and whoever
Mm-hmm.
returned the
Exactly.
card, that's what determines the race.
See, in each race, there's actually three sections. Like literally, it's
Mm-hmm.
four. They trot out almost what is almost the first quarter to a third, and then there's three like burst sections. You have to
Yes.
watch the races in 2D to see this. 3D, it's too difficult to see,
Well,
but you
I
can.
actually do see it on 3D. It's
I mean,
1,000 in
yeah. I mean, it's
500.
it's easier to see. Agreed. For new people, like I think it's easier to watch in 2D to see this,
Yes.
but
That's a
you
good
can
point.
tell if they burst in the first group after the trot, either they're going to get second or third, or not place, or the only way they win is by the second or two the second two burst groups catching up or not catching up to them.
Yes.
It almost becomes like a hair kind of a race, right? You let the
Mm-hmm.
first group bust, second group go, and then that third group typically is the winner, but typically most of the horses on the podium come in that third bust group,
Mm-hmm.
unless, as ZG calls it, they walk off early. And good
Yes.
horses in that first burst group can just get enough of a lead that they don't get caught. So it's another way to watch the races. There are different burst groups. I know that's real. I don't know how to determine when your horse is going to burst in a race beforehand, but like based on when they win, if you have a winner, you can see normally a profile of a winning race looks pretty similar of the same horse again. So
You have a question from Retro Racing, and he said, "How often do you think the early break horse wins?"
Um, hey Retro, how's it going? It's really not often, and it's only like, can a horse do it? Yeah, but man, it's the horses that do it often are really good horses, like
Really special.
Polarity, Breathless Edge, right? Like they get such a lead that they just take off. I mean, it's like Katherine Johnson can do it, but she has to like hit the flop. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be like bam, she's got to trip on the flop to do it. For example, right? Like think of it like that.
Yes. And so, I guess we're gonna start wrapping up. Um, real fast. J Thorpe 81. I see it. You said it. Where do you guys see Zed in a year? I see Zed in.
Hopefully double the user base. Hopefully the Atari tournament that we've heard so much about happens.
I think based off of what we do in the community, I think the if we continue to do the things we're doing as a community, the Zed should have maybe 3 or 4 times. Excuse me, my teeth fell out. Old, knocked my teeth out when I was younger. Uh, the we should have 4 or 5 times the population, honestly, because I
I hope so.
totally believe that Zed is scaling up to meet a higher population. And we just had a horse sale for 200,000 not too long ago, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Uh, there's gonna be people investing more money into Zed, and I'm talking about just users. Um, and so we only have what, a 50,000. I'm estimating that we actually have a 20,000 user base. Even though there's 50,000 plus stables, a lot of people have more than one stable, and
Hmm.
so we should see 100,000 to 200,000 unique stables by next year. Next year, what's it? September. By September, if not close to like 400,000 or 500,000, because
Yeah,
the
that's
breeding price is getting lower. It will get lowered. It has to get lowered because the initial vision that everybody was fed was two people go to a bar, they spend $50 on a horse, and they race all night. And you can't get. We're not there yet, but we will be there by this time next year. You can book it. I don't do too many guarantees, but I'll book that one.
I agree. I mean, it's there's going to be advertising. There's going to be more users included the base, and obviously, if we, you're right, as a community, we help grow the community. We can help enable that. And as everyone that holds a Zed Run racehorse, we got some new people tonight. You want that community to grow because you
100%.
said it earlier. Is limited supply, higher demand raises the floor price, which is good for all the holders. So, be good community members, y'all. Bring friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
We get
thank
to.
everybody for showing up. Thank you once again, Dr. Ian. I look forward to actually talking to you a couple times to just go back and forth, because I'm glad that you saw the breeding algorithm exactly the way I see it.
Hmm.
And so, going forward, I'm glad to have met you, and hopefully, I'll be able to keep more in contact with you in the future. This is the second time you were interviewed. MJ, do you have any thing you would like to release?
Um, uh, be streaming tomorrow night with Sean Versal, Zero to Hero show. Love that show. Thank you. Nice job with the point. And I'll be on Thursdays. Thursday nights at 7, kind of settling into that. May or may not have another giveaway coming up. It may or may not be a horse or something else, another animal of sorts. It's not a duck. It is not a duck.
That's a
Um,
great. That's to the moon.
so yeah, yeah, tomorrow night and Thursdays at 7.
All right. And so tomorrow night, Zero to Hero is the show with MJ Stables and Sean Versal. Sorry I didn't say something earlier, but it's a great show. It's about taking a horse with less potential and bringing out the maximum potential. And so we're gonna tune out, guys. Thank you for showing up today. Have a great night, and go to the YouTube page, hit the like and subscribe button.
Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Ian. Thank you, Golden Glow.
Thank you all for having me. Thank you all for showing up. Thanks, y'all.